You would hope that the person who preaches about right and wrong, holy and unholy, would live the life that they talk about each Sunday in their sermons. But
you would hope that
sadly,
the person who stands at the pulpit and speaks about holiness, righteousness, and the eternal fate of souls would live the very words they preach each Sunday. But we have seen this story before, so many times that the shock has worn thin, replaced by a grim, exhausting familiarity. The question is whether we are looking at that same tragic pattern again. In Liberty County, Texas, that question now centers on a man named George Finny, a senior pastor whose biography boasts of his ability to teach the deepest scriptural truths in the simplest of ways.
The devil loves to isolate you because isolation makes a weak Christian.
that is George Finny, senior pastor.
The gap
of the
between
new-
that stated promise and the allegations against him is not a crack, it is a chasm. Before we go deeper into what the evidence actually shows, make sure you're subscribed to Crime Nest Media, because we don't just cover the story, we follow the facts. Picture a shepherd leading a flock trusted to guide them to safety. Now imagine that same shepherd in the shadows, using his staff not to protect, but to harm the very lambs he was sworn to guard. That is the visual anchor for this story. The shepherd is George Finny, senior pastor of New Life Kenefick Church, a small congregation about an hour outside of Houston. On his church website, he is described in glowing terms, a loving, fun, and energetic
Recording
pastor.
is still up on the church website, and it's a bio that reads that he came to the place of worship to make it a powerful New Testament church. He's described as a loving, fun,
He
and
came to the church to make it a powerful New Testament church, according to his bio. This is the mask, the carefully crafted public face of a man who, police say, was hiding a profoundly different reality behind closed doors. The official narrative shatters on January 23, 2024. According to the criminal complaints filed by the Liberty County Sheriff's Office, that date is the starting point for a period of alleged abuse lasting until October 5th, 2024.
very important when we talk about this story. Through October 5th, 2024, when the defendant, who would be Finny, was 17 years of age or
Indecency
older.
with a child by exposure and assault of a family or household member by impeding breath or circulation. The assault charge involves a specific violent act, allegedly applying pressure to the throat or neck of a family member.
There, Finny allegedly, intentionally, knowingly, and recklessly caused bodily injury to a member of his family. Goes on to say that Finny allegedly, intentionally,
Cutting off
knowingly,
their ability to breathe. Here is the first convergence of the narrative. On January 23, 2024,
in this case. According to court records, the charges relate to allegations that go back to January 23rd of 2024. So I want to start with the charge of sexual abuse of a child, and it's a disturbing thing to read. It says, quote, during a period that was 30 or more days in duration, namely
his
from
first wife died suddenly.
complainant. Now, the date of that offense, January 23rd, 2024. And I keep saying that date because of the family tragedy that Finny's family allegedly went through. And we're talking about the sudden death, according to his biography, of his wife.
We do not know the cause of her death.
Now, we don't know how Finny's first wife passed away. And we also don't know what his relationship is to the person he allegedly assaulted. And we don't know what his relationship is to the child he allegedly abused. KTRK television says that police believe there is
We do
just
not
one
know
victim.
if there is any connection, but the coincidence is deafening. It hangs over the entire narrative like a question no one can answer, a horrifying collision of tragedy and accusation. What happened in that house on that day? Was it the start of a nightmare, the end of a secret, or simply the cruelest of coincidences? A man loses his wife, and on the exact same day he is accused of inflicting unimaginable harm on 2 other people. The charges then stretch over a period of 10 months. From the day of his wife's death to October 5th, 2024, the state alleges the pattern continued. It is a specific, lengthy window of time, suggesting prosecutors may have more than just a single outcry to build their case. As civil trial attorney David Ring noted,
Accused of.
Well, it's good to be here. I think it's interesting that clearly, Finny was married and his wife passed away the same month that these charges are brought or the claims that he was molesting, sexually abusing somebody, a young girl. And it happened a couple of years ago, right around the same time that his
Such
first
a
wife
specific
passed.
timeline is unusual and could point to the victim having a precise recollection of the events or there being corroborating evidence.
Again, very, very unusual. Usually it's, it's more vague than that. But look, you're probably dealing with a teenage victim, and for whatever reason, she knows and recalls the dates when it started and when it ended. And that's a long period of time. I mean, we're talking 10 months of repeated acts of sexual abuse, and the crime he's charged
But
with,
what
or
is
one of
the
them.
evidence? At this stage, much of it remains undisclosed. What we do know is the victim made an outcry to an adult in June, sparking the investigation that led to Finny's arrest on June 29th.
Stay in the dark.
Now, Finny, as you can see there, he gives passionate sermons, and you can see why he appears to be a popular person in the community. But police say an alleged victim came forward and accused Finny of sexual abuse and other charges. So we're going to get
The
into
pastor
those
was
charges
booked and then posted a $150,000 bond the next
and
day.
where it goes from here. Online court records show that Finny received bonds of $50,000 per charge. So for a total of $150,000, he was booked on June 29th into the county jail in Liberty, and then he posted that bond the next day on January 30th.
The pastor was booked and then posted a $150,000 bond the next
And I
day.
think about the bonds that he was issued. It was $50,000 each, so he's on a $150,000 bond. He was able to post that the next day, so he's out as all this case goes forward. What do you read into that part of it? Where, this is a pretty violent allegation, trying to choke someone. And then on top of it,
The story takes another turn when you examine the public response. George Finny, we know, is married to a new wife and recently became a father to a beautiful baby girl. This new wife, who answered the door holding their newborn, told reporters she was in shock. And
now KTRK television went to Finny's house in the wake of his arrest, and they say his current wife, who was the woman who he married in 2025, answered the door.
Could not believe her husband would commit such crimes.
Now, we did see on Finny's Facebook his current wife, the woman who told the television station that she could not believe that he would be capable of what he is now accused
on
of.
Facebook, she posted a heartbreaking plea days after the arrest, stating she was beyond heartbroken and trying to stay strong.
Of what he is now accused of. On Facebook, she posted on July 4th, days after Pastor Finny's arrest went public, quote, "I'm still in a state of shock and confusion. I'm beyond heartbroken and most definitely stressed out. One thing for sure is, the name of the baby, is my number one priority, and I will make sure she's okay above anything.
I will not allow the enemy to win.
It's because I have no words, really. No matter what happens, I will not allow the enemy to win. I will not allow this to take away what
It is
Jesus
a statement of deep faith, a faith that now stands in stark contrast to the actions her husband is accused of. The church leadership, to their credit, responded swiftly with a statement to Fox 26, saying Finny had been relieved of his duties.
And social media. Now, this is a statement that the new Life Kenefick Church sent Fox 26 in Houston in the wake of their lead pastor's arrest. This is what it says, quote, "We, the leadership of New Life Kenefick, are aware of the serious allegations and criminal charges involving our pastor, George Finny. From the moment we were made aware of these allegations, he was relieved of his duties here at our church. We are deeply saddened, and our hearts go out to all who are being affected by this, especially the victim and her family. We are cooperating fully with law enforcement in the legal process. Our church takes the safety and well-being of children and vulnerable individuals very seriously."
The moment they were made aware of the allegations and that they were cooperating fully with law enforcement, they expressed sorrow for the victim and her family. Yet, even as they said this, his bio and sermons lingered on the church's website.
Well, again, I don't, even if it's a slow website department, there's no excuse at all for having his information still up on the church website. I mean, the second he gets arrested, within hours, that should be removed. To have it up there and to still have the videos of his sermons up there and his bio, that's just...
Attorney Ring was scathing.
Yeah, I was surprised it was so low, and I was surprised. That's a very low number. Easily posted bail, back out in the community. I'm sure there's restrictions on his movements and his interactions with the minor, but again, it's a bit frustrating because we don't know the facts. We know what the charges
calling
are.
it poor management and stating there was no excuse for the church not to have removed his image from their digital presence immediately. The church said one thing, but its actions, at least online, lagged behind. The gap between the official response and the practical application highlights the uncomfortable reality that organizations often struggle to fully distance themselves from the figure they once
Pastor at a
championed.
church, unfortunately, we have seen so many cases of teachers at schools. Like, what should be the expectation for a victim on how an entity, whether it be a church, a school, a company, whatever it may be, how they should respond when allegations like this lead to charges?
George Finny is innocent until proven guilty. This is a fundamental pillar of the justice system and must be reiterated. We are talking only about allegations at this point, but the pattern is painfully familiar. Waff, the shepherd who cannot protect his flock. At the highest stakes moment in this narrative, consider this rhetorical question that reframes this as a thriller, not just a headline. Is the day a man's life falls apart the same day he is accused of tearing apart the lives of others? Or is the tragedy that he was constructing a secret life all along, even as he preached the word of God? The story of the pastor who stands before his congregation and teaches about light.
Yeah, Chris, I hate to say it. I don't think it surprises anyone anymore. We've been seeing this now for many, many, many years where these allegedly upstanding citizens of the community are doing some horrific things behind the scenes. And whether it's a pastor, a religious figure, a teacher, a coach, a lot of times it's the person who
then goes home and commits acts of darkness is not new. The shepherd who cannot protect his flock. But it never loses its power to disturb. It forces a reckoning with the way we trust public figures, especially those who hold spiritual authority. These are the shepherd who cannot protect his flock doctrines. We are left with a case that is pending. The court documents have not been fully released. We do not know the relationship between Finny and the alleged victim. We do not know how his first wife passed. We do not know the full extent of what happened in that house. To close, we direct you to one specific publicly available document, the criminal complaints, filed by the Liberty County Sheriff's Office in the case of George Finny. These are public records, and they lay out the specific charges and dates, forming the core of the investigation. A direct question for the comments after reading this: do you believe it is harder for a victim to come forward against a respected community leader? Or is a powerful institution more likely to protect its own than to protect the vulnerable?